If your agent told you open houses don't work, ask them one question. Have they ever actually tried to make one work? Because most agents who say that never really ran one. They put out a sign, sat at a kitchen table for 2 hours, and then they call that data. In this video, Jason and I are going to discuss what a real open house looks like versus one that you see most of the time, and why those don't necessarily work, and why they need to be done a different way in order for you to get those types of results. So that's what we're going to be discussing here today. And I hope you guys enjoy this. The main thing is this, we're going to throw some numbers out here. So 30% of our listings sell from the open house, directly from the open house, where basically someone comes, attends the open house, and then they're the ones that actually put in the offer. Now, does that mean that they use us as their agent? No. A lot of times their agent they already have an agent, and still in these cases, that open house ends up selling a house. So what's different, right? When you look at other agents and the NAR statistics, it's anywhere between 1% and 3% of people, choose their home based off an open house. So we're going to kind of challenge that a little bit, right? Yeah. One of the things that's interesting to me is that this stat is kind of misleading in the fact that 3% of open houses, if you look at the vast majority of open houses, I don't know, Jason, what do you see when you see a typical open house when you're driving around on a weekend?
Well, I mean, first of all, they're not very inviting. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just a sign that says open house. But when you go into an open house, this was even before I was an agent, right? You go in an open house and you don't even know if you should knock on the door. Like, it's just a weird feeling walking into a stranger's house. And you go in there, usually the agent is sitting at the table saying, hey, come on in. They may say, if you have any questions, let me know. But no lie, half the time they're like on their phone, they're kind of scrolling and whatever. And it's like they're there to just occupy space. And, because again, Amy and I, it was like a thing. We just loved going to open houses because we wanted to buy a house, but we weren't sure exactly what we wanted, whatever. But it's like they were there to be there. And so there was a severe lack of proactiveness, I think, from the agents that we experienced. So that was the first and most common experience that we had. So
yeah, when I was with Keller Williams early in my career, one of the things that they had us do was go visit open houses, right? And I remember while doing that particular research, a lot of times you'd walk up to the house and you'd have no idea if there's actual open house going on. You didn't know how to interact. There might have been a car in the driveway. So you're like,
yeah.
Other than there being a sign in the yard, I'm not sure if there's an actual open house going on.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Yeah, it's awkward. And I was an agent. Like, I was kind of checking them out. Like, if I'm a regular consumer, that's really weird to me, right? So one of the statistics that's great, I think, is that 50% of buyers do attend open houses. So half of your buyers are going to be attending these open houses anyways. Why not make it something that's obviously worth their time and you're doing the follow-up? Because why else are you, I don't know about you, but I don't want to sit in an open house for 2 hours and have nobody come through. That's not exactly a fun experience on my part, right?
Yeah. Well, also part I forgot to mention, a lot of agents use other agents. And the problem is I think they use new agents because new agents are, they're willing to do whatever they have to do to kind of get their foot in the door. But I think the bigger problem is I don't know that they know that they should be doing some research on the house, knowing all the ins and outs, and they don't know much. So again, through my experience as a buyer, you're asking questions and they're like, oh, I don't know. Let me find out. And so it's like, well, you don't even know the most basic questions. So, it's not very personable. It's not, I'll be honest with you. What I was thinking was, does this seller know that this agent is not putting in the time and energy to sell their house in the format of an open house?
Yeah. Well, what I've noticed is we're in some Facebook groups in the area and stuff. There's like agents helping agents and open house and this and stuff and this and whatever. And I see listing agents that are offering $50, $100 for agents to host their open house. Number one, as an agent myself, the purpose of hosting the open house, if you're another agent hosting it for somebody else, is that the potential of being able to get a buyer in that particular case, right? So you should be technically working for free with the hopes of potentially earning a commission on that property where you represent an unrepresented buyer that ends up coming in. Now, my issue with paying an agent to do that is they're not understanding the importance of that open house, right? I also think it's kind of crappy for the listing agent to just have a random person that doesn't know anything at all about that house
Right.
hosting that open house. Because exactly your point that you've made a couple times now is that they don't know anything about the house. They don't bother to research it. And my thing is that if you're using another agent as a representative for
Right.
the seller, it's a direct reflection on you.
Right.
And it even makes me nervous. Like when we have agents on our team that are new that haven't really been through the process and know what's going on, or maybe you just don't trust that they're going to put in the work, because there's been times where, personally, we've had an agent put 5 signs out and the seller ends up coming to the open house to see how it's going. And I find out that that's the case. And I'm
Yeah.
embarrassed
Right.
because I feel like I didn't do enough to train that agent or at least set the expectations as to what that open house should look like. Now, mind you, it's a stale open house, like what we call a stale open house, where the house has been on the market for a while and it doesn't necessarily have the same hype that a grand opening open house will have. However, it's still an embarrassment to me because I feel like I didn't do a good enough job representing that property in that particular open house.
Well, and also, what if you get an agent that you're not familiar with? You trust your seller's home with a stranger, and not to say that an agent is going to do something to the house, but what if they decide there's people in the house and, oh, I need to go out to my car, and they leave customers in the house? I mean, is that an extreme example? Maybe, but it happens. We know it happens.
I've seen some wild stuff. I'll
Yeah.
just tell you this: like, I don't. It's almost like, who raised you? To me, because I just don't understand how, like, because to me that's like common sense, right? Why would that be okay? And I've seen wild stuff. I've seen people pack up open houses early and leave an hour
Yeah.
early because there's no one there. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? You said that
Yeah.
you're going to be here from this time to this time, and based off of experience, when do most people show up to the open house?
Well, in our town, it's usually that last 45, 30 minutes, maybe even sometimes 15 minutes. So
Yeah, we
yeah.
almost call that League City time,
And we
right?
call that League City time. Yeah.
Like this first hour of this open house may be dead, but the
Yeah.
last,
It,
45 minutes,
it
30 minutes,
happens
it's like
all the time.
crazy.
All the
Yeah.
time.
That's part of the reason that we, for ours, and I didn't want this particular podcast to be about what we do, but this was why we put on our flyers when we put them out. The first hour is for neighbors only. We know that there's not going to be a ton of traffic usually in
Right.
that first hour. And so we want the neighbors to feel comfortable to come through and see the open house in that
Right.
first hour without having a bunch of people running through at the same time that are potential buyers, right? So yeah, so that's one of the crazy things that I've noticed. And what's crazy to me is I feel like top producers are the ones that don't want to host open houses the most. I mean, am I wrong in seeing
No,
that?
you're 100% right. I think that they do enough business where they feel like that's just something they don't want to have to deal with.
Yeah, it's almost like it's beneath them, right?
Right. Right.
Like we don't see anybody who's got a billboard in the area that are hosting their own open house, right?
Right.
Like, and what's funny to me is that number one, I get it. You're protecting your time and this and that, whatever. However, when is most real estate done? It's mostly done in the evenings and weekends.
Weekends. Right.
That's what you signed up for by being a real estate agent. Sure, protect your time from time to time. It doesn't.
Yeah.
You could still work one day a weekend, right? And the other thing is I noticed too is, if you've got a bunch of listings, so here's kind of the sweet spot, right? You don't want an agent that does almost no business. They're going to be able to spend a lot of time on your listing. They have zero experience. They don't really know what they need to do in order to sell the house. They're
Right.
just kind of winging it, hearing what works, what doesn't work, but they haven't actually experienced it. And so that's one of the issues. The other issue is the complete opposite end of that spectrum, where you have an agent who does quite a bit of business and you're one of 60 listings on their active roster right now. And clearly you're not going to get that level of experience unless they have a large team where it's somebody
Right.
on the team that's handling it for them. And at the same time, like, I appreciate that, and the fact that there's a system behind it with a larger team. I also feel like I'm going to do everything I can. I remember talking about this when we talk about flyering or canvassing a neighborhood, is that I remember early on when I did it, I remember saying, I want to be that guy that no matter what our level of production is still out there pounding the pavement and
Yeah.
doing this stuff. Because to me personally, I think that it's a bigger deal that a team lead of a large real estate team is out there putting in the work just like the other agent. To me, it's a leadership thing, right?
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
leading by example.
So Yeah, it's
and
not
nothing
a
is beneath me.
yeah, it's not a do as I say, not as I do. It's this is what we do. So
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I think needs to be pointed out as well, is that I can understand where, and because a lot of the criticism about open houses comes from higher producers, right? They're saying, oh, you just want to promote yourself and that you're going after buyers and this and that. So one of the interesting things that whenever I travel the country to talk about open houses and stuff, it always makes the room like gasp almost
yeah,
when I say one of the main reasons we do open houses is to get sellers, right?
right.
We
Well,
want
to,
to show people in the neighborhood that what we do, and it's almost like an audition, right?
well, and to add to that, two things can be true at the same time, right? Yes, we do it for multiple avenues of business, whether it's future sellers, buyers. It's still the open. That doesn't mean that the open house doesn't sell the house.
Mhm.
Again, two things can be true at the same time, and which is what makes what we do kind of common sense genius in a way. I don't even that doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean. Like it's just common sense, right? Why
Mhm.
not? Why not attack all these different angles of the business and to produce more while still on the ground level we're trying to sell this house, and so the more eyes always the better,
Yeah.
always. So and anybody wants to argue with that I just don't think I think they lack the common sense that it needs to be able to sell the house. So it just like I said, two things to be true at the same time. And again, like we started talking about, the numbers are definitely misleading. 3% versus, for us 30 to 40%. And again, it's true. I mean, it's hard when people talk with us. It's hard for them to argue with us about why open houses aren't a good idea. I mean, we
Yeah.
could talk for days about it with other agents, which is probably what they don't like, because what it comes down to is that, hey, you know what, you're going to have to put a little bit of work in other than just looking at a computer screen or calling people. Now it just so happens we actually kind of enjoy it. We enjoy, like I said, canvassing and neighborhood flyering, because it gives us an opportunity to talk to people, which is what we feel like our business based off of. So it's the difference between transactional and, personality based businesses, I guess. And open houses kind of fall under that personality base. And but again, it's how you want to do your business. But to say that it doesn't work just because it's something you don't want to do it's not very productive. So
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I wish that we could run a business like that, right? Where
yeah,
we just stick a sign in the yard, put it on the MLS, and pray
right,
that sucker sells. Pricing it right, obviously, is a big part of that.
right,
And at the same time, if you're pricing it right and then hosting a massive open house that brings a lot of attention to that property, it's going to sell. So
right.
one of my favorite things is when we go into a listing appointment, one of the questions they always ask is, well, what do you do differently to market? And it's
Yep,
so easy for us to do that. I
right,
don't even know what other agents say in that
yeah,
question,
right,
because what you're going to see a lot of times is that they do social media marketing and this and that and whatever. And well, okay, you doing a dance on TikTok is not necessarily showing off your skills as a real
right,
estate agent or actually selling any house that you've got going on there. I also feel the same way about the folks that like run through the house. That's all entertaining. It's
I,
great. I love
I
that.
would love to do it. I just don't know that it's going to help me sell a house. So
Exactly. And that's kind of what, we're looking at the data, we're looking at what works, what doesn't, and that doesn't. So you ask us why we don't have TikToks where the whole team dances and stuff like that. And that's the reason. It doesn't sell houses, it doesn't do anything.
yeah,
It makes you fun and relatable. I feel at the same time, I'm also pretty fun and relatable without having to do a TikTok dance. So that's one of the things that I kind of chuckle about and all that. And yeah, sure. I wish I could say that open houses don't work, because that would give me a lot more free time on the weekends to spend time with my family. And at the same time, I feel like I would be doing a disservice to my sellers if I wasn't putting in that level of effort. Right.
right,
So the thing that's funny about this too is that what I've noticed again about, top producers that kind of poo poo doing all this stuff is they're setting an expectation for sellers that open houses don't work, and it justifies them not hosting open
right,
houses. And so then when the house sits on the market for a while, you number one, you've already lost. Like, let's say I get a kick out of these two where agents are like, well, if it doesn't sell in the first week, we'll host an open house. Or if it doesn't sell in the first 2 weeks, we'll host an open house. Well, at that time, you've already lost the
yeah,
momentum
yeah,
on that listing, right?
yeah,
So doing an open house at that point is actually kind of pointless. And I could
right,
see where you aren't going to have as many people coming through, because now you've had the house on the market for 1, 2, 3 weeks. And now you decide to put an open house up together. To me, it's like a little too late. I
right.
mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I'll tell you. So I think it feeds into, again, a strategy that we use when we list, right? So you talk about momentum. And so this is why we list on Thursdays,
Mhm.
right? We
Yep.
list on Thursdays. We do an open house that first weekend because of momentum and because, tell me if I'm wrong, but like 50% of buyers attend open houses.
Yep.
And so what they do that they kind of get their list together. It happens every weekend, just like this past weekend. The guy says, man, we've been to 5 open houses today because people plan their day that way. So
Mhm.
if you know that there's 50% of buyers out there going to open houses, why wouldn't that not be something you do at least once, at least the first weekend? And so, use that momentum. And I'm telling you, you're going to get more people at your open house. And again, there's more to it than just putting it on there that you have an open house. But, why wouldn't you tap into that 50% the first weekend it's on the market? Because when people, when they do their searches, they look for the newly listed properties.
Mhm.
So they're already seeing it. It's easy for them to just go to the open house. So why
Mhm.
wouldn't you feed into that and help buyers, feed into the ease of coming to the open house? It just, again, it's common sense to me. And so, you know, I forget the other stat, again, we list on Thursdays, but again, the days on market become an issue, right? If you wait 1 week, 2 weeks, you're now on the market 14 days. Good luck because now you are going to have just a few people come through. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So,
Statistically, the research that we've done and put together on this is that houses listed on Thursday actually sell quicker and at a higher
yes,
price than homes that are listed any other day of the week. And homes listed on Sundays actually perform significantly worse. And again, you're talking about the days on market. Yeah, they
yeah,
sit on the market for almost 8 days before they're seen, right? So yeah, that's the thing too, is like, if you're an agent, why are you not paying attention to these types of statistics? I get
right.
it, like right now, in the fact that we're kind of poo-pooing the 1 to 3% of people purchasing homes with an open house. Part of that is just the setup of that open house. What does that open house look like? Did they
Right.
put one sign out and then they're sitting in the kitchen, like what we kind of talked about in the description, haven't been outside? Now, I know we talked about we weren't going to get into all the stuff that we do that's differently, but one of our big things that I think makes a huge difference is that we have that tent and table set up outside, even at stale open houses, so
Well,
that we can welcome people in as they come in.
and I'm telling me personally, I've gotten feedback at least every other open house where somebody says, man, I really like that y'all do this. And, there was a gentleman on one of our listings came in and we ended up talking for 30, 45 minutes after the open house. He's one of those, it's kind of a professional open house guy. Like he just goes to open houses.
Hmm.
And so he'd made the comment that how much more inviting it is and how much he was just impressed by it. And he was just like, wow, I think it's great that y'all do that. And it's something that's so simple. We just literally sit out in the driveway as opposed to the kitchen table. And I get it. I know why agents don't do it, but I hate to say this, maybe it's the old coach in me, but it's like, it's a laziness.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we do simple things that most agents don't want to do because they just don't want to do it. So that's the message without saying it that they're sending their sellers is that, hey, there's some things I could do that's really simple, like flyering, canvassing the neighborhood on the Friday before the open house to invite people out. Those are simple things that you can do, but people don't want to do it. Why? It's hot
Yeah.
or I've got other things to do. Well, that again, not a good message to send to your sellers.
Yeah.
And so
It's kind of hard to walk the neighborhood in high heels, right?
yeah, I guess so, or in slacks and in a suit coat or something. But it just it doesn't make sense to do simple thing or to not do simple things because you simply just don't want to do it. And so, but again, I think also a lot of agents ignore the fact that hey, there's a lot of people. Most people want their friends and family to live next door to them or down the road or just in the same neighborhood. And so, why would you not invite the neighborhood out? Because again, how many times do we have people say, well, I have family in this part of Texas and they want me to come look at this house. And because of the opportunity for them to come live, down the street or whatever it is, there's a method to the madness. And it's not rocket science. It's
Mhm.
just putting in that little bit of extra time and effort and understanding on why you should do open houses and why you do them the way you do them. And so, like I said, it's to me, and I hate to say it because I don't like to talk about other people. It's just lazy. You're just lazy and you'll never convince me otherwise. That you don't want to walk around a neighborhood for 30 to 45 minutes, flying a neighborhood. You don't have to knock on doors. Really, we do. I love talking to people, by the way, like
Mhm.
Miss Wanda from last weekend, right? This lady let us know, hey, I got your flyer. I said, awesome. Come, come to the open house. And, I just had a great conversation. And so it allows you to get to know people and to form some, even if it's a short term thing, I promise you, she's going to remember, and I'm going to remember her. She's going to remember that, again, off topic, but I brought her some ice cream because she's an older lady. She couldn't come. But I wanted her to know that our time that we spoke together for that 5 minutes, it had an effect on me, and I appreciated it. So, it allows you to get in front of people and show them who you are. And
Yeah.
so it doesn't mean that every time you do it, it's going to lead to business, but they'll talk to other people that are looking to buy or sell a house. And so, again, it's really just how you want to do your business. And I just prefer not to be lazy about it, I guess. So
Yeah.
I know that
Well,
sounds terrible, but
I mean,
yeah,
I love that. I thought that was probably the best thing from this past weekend was
yeah,
when you brought Miss Wanda the ice cream. We
yeah.
didn't know what flavor she wanted. And
Hey, everybody likes vanilla and chocolate. So you just,
yeah,
you go basic.
yeah. So, and it was funny. You bring, obviously you got in the truck and did it because
Yeah.
how hot it was.
Yeah, it was.
Was it Saturday? Yeah.
Yeah, it was
As
Saturday.
hot as it was Saturday, because what was it, 113 degrees feels like
Yeah,
or
it
something
was
like
the feels like temperature was crazy.
yeah. So, obviously got in the truck to go take it around the corner to her because had you walked it around the corner, it would have been a puddle of soup
Well,
by the time you got there.
well, that's the funny thing, right? Is that, because it's an open house, you want to present sort of professionally. You don't want to be dripping, pouring sweat. So I was like,
Yeah.
we'll just drive over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was so appreciative too. Like, she's like, I can't believe you did that. I said, well, it's easy. It's just right around the corner. And so, and again, maybe it's a selfish thing. It made me feel good. And so that's enough for me. So
Yeah. I'll be completely transparent. The fact that we were both coaches, I feel like a lot of that stuff kind of ingrained in us is just
yeah,
in the way that we interact with the people in general.
right.
So yeah, my thing is that I would prefer to spread goodwill in a
Yeah.
neighborhood. And here's one of the things that I always talk about, and I know we didn't discuss this in like the warm up to this, but I would rather spend the same amount of money as other teams spend on Zillow for leads than I would rather spend it on ice cream and giving
Right.
back to the community
Right.
than leads. Give me leads. Gimme,
Yeah.
gimme, gimme, gimme. I feel
Yeah.
like that's a pretty selfish thing too. And part of the reason that we built out our business the way we did to be more personality based, and we've gone more to that again. We branched out a little bit,
Right.
had some coaching and worked on skills like sales skills and stuff like that. And after looking at all that, I felt and we felt as a team, right, that it's better to get back to the basics of what we do, what got
Right.
us here in the first place. And
Right.
so I feel like we've really kind of focused on that over the last few months. And I think that has paid huge dividends for us. And it feels good.
Yeah.
I feel so much better doing what we do instead of making phone calls to people
Well,
who have expired or terminated listing,
and also, let's be honest, who wants to pay a 30, percent referral on a transactional thing where it's just something you do? Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I just can't imagine I would enjoy the business if that's what I did and that was, all I did. I don't want to give 30% to some website, and, so to me, it covers a lot of things that I enjoy doing. As I get to talk to people, I get to, interact with people, I get to help people. Again, we get to give back to the community, even though it seems, oh, well, you're just giving ice cream. But if it makes a person feel good in that moment for 5 minutes, I'm in. That's
Yeah.
good enough for me. So, it just, and like I said, it's all about, it's not transactional. It's all about, repeat business and repeat clients. I've told, I think, pretty much every client, maybe since I've started, I said, hey, you're never going to get rid of me. I'm always going to be there. So, and I say like it's a threat or something, but that's why I always reach out to past clients, say, hey, we're giving away ice cream in your part of town. Come get some ice cream, stuff like that. So, which again, we also did this weekend. So, I'm with you. I think it's because of what we did for 20 plus years in the coaching business and, interacting with all different types of people, whether it's kids, parents, other teachers, whatever. And so it definitely benefits us and it feeds into how we want to approach our business and how we kind of want to, live our lives, so to speak, not to sound corny, but I just have a smile on my face a lot more that way than if I was just, doing it the other way. So,
Absolutely. And one of the other things too, one of the other pushback items that I usually get when we travel and talk about this stuff is, well, how does a solo agent do this, right? Obviously you guys have a team, you've got usually 3 agents there, this, that, whatever. Solo agents can do the same thing. And here's the best part. There's the volume, like the
Right.
number of people that come through. Obviously it's going to be more difficult to handle that volume with one agent. So one of the things that I always suggest is if you've got a lender that you partner with, have
Yeah.
that lender work it with you and help
Right.
kind of stem the flow. I mean, they're also going to be getting that business as well.
Right.
And if you coach them up on what's going on in the house, they could kind of talk about, the features of the house. I mean, it's on a sheet, right?
Right.
It's not like you have to be an expert to be able to tell what the square footage is or how
Right.
many bedrooms are in the house or any of that stuff, right? Or
Yeah.
that the age of the roof is 10 years or, the AC unit's 8 or whatever.
Yep.
So that being said, you can leverage lender help. You can hire an admin. If you're hosting open houses on that sort of level, it won't be long before you're going to have to hire an
Yeah.
admin
Right.
to just be able to help handle all
Well,
the stuff.
so we get this a lot from other agents. Well, you guys do a food truck, and that's why. Well, that's just one part of it, right? You can still have good, a lot of people come through without a food truck. Again, if you just take that extra step, invite the neighborhood out, make it. We always say make it an event, right? It
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be an event to end all events. You just let them know that you're present in the neighborhood, right? And I think also that goes into that, which again, I know we keep going back to what we do, but it's what we do, so it's easy to talk about. Signage, right? Like have something instead of just a basic little house that's about this big and it says open house and it's got a little arrow. Have something that people are going to recognize. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And so that way, they say, okay, Joe Schmo from from Banana Realty, whatever it is, they know what kind of open house you have. So they're more likely to come back. Oh, well, hey, we saw that last house. Let's go see what they've got here. And so again, maybe that person's not looking, but they know somebody that may be looking and they want
Yeah.
them to come live near them. So, there's a whole thing to it. And it doesn't have to just be about a food truck or about a big team. You know what I mean? There's things you can do. Again, agents just have to be willing to take that step and do those things. Again, it's not hard. I mean, if you think about it, we started saving money because when we print off our flyers, we've kind of cut them in half now. So we actually, saved money on paper,
Yep.
and so, there's it doesn't have to be an expensive thing for you. You just have to want to do it and enjoy it. And so,
Yeah.
maybe that would help agents. Maybe I keep saying they're lazy. Maybe they just don't enjoy them, but maybe they just need to kind of be pushed in a way to see, hey, this is how you can do it. And 2 hours out of your day, I'm sorry, but 2 hours out of your day on a Saturday or Sunday is not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? It's really not. And so, if you think about it, and this is something that I know you'll probably end up talking about, is what goes into that process. Like from like when you take the pictures, it's really a short process.
Mhm.
Pictures, list, and then open house. Right. Majority of the work is done, you know, on your computer or, again, guys doing pictures. Preparing for the actual open house itself is really just a small part of it. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah, and honestly, the pre-marketing is really
Mhm.
the point of the open house. So
Right.
again, we go back to how are you marketing the house, right? And if you're just listing on the MLS and putting it on social media and you post it, and you probably don't even see us post our listings that much
Yeah. We,
on Facebook and all that.
we probably should do it more. We just don't.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I hate to say it, statistically, it doesn't do much,
Yeah.
right? So the purpose is to get people to get eyes on the property, right? And so when you're posting stuff on Facebook, you're only posting to your sphere. So you're talking about at most, 5,000 people on Facebook, right? Instagram, a little bit different. The reach is extends beyond just your followers and whatnot.
Right.
And at the same time, the main thing is just to get as many eyes on it as possible. So
Right.
if you have a big following on social media, you're basically marketing to the same people over and over again, right?
Yeah.
So again, we want to go back to the idea that the open house is an excuse to market it. So this is why a lot of times I will talk to a seller and we'll have a discussion about maybe doing a price improvement. And then once that price improvement's done, we are going to do an open house for that because we
Right.
want to market the price reduction, right?
Right.
So we want to make sure that everybody sees, hey, this home is now reduced and now it may be more enticing to you because it's at a lower price point than what
Right.
it was previously. And again, it's all about an excuse to market to you. Same thing is, we won't get into this in this episode, but same type of thing goes on even with client events. When you have client events and you invite past clients and people that are what you consider VIPs and whatnot to come to an event where you shower them with appreciation for what they've done to help grow your business. Again, it's a reason to talk to people, because how awkward is it when you're calling somebody and being like, "Hey, remember me? I'm your real estate agent. And, do you happen to know anybody looking to move? Great." And so I would much rather contact somebody and invite them to something that is going to benefit them than to constantly be looking for, what can you do for me? Or what have you done for me lately?
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the big criticisms that we seem to get a lot, is that, hey, you're a team, a solo agent can't do this. And honestly, Ed, it's just not true. I feel that it's actually probably better for a solo agent to do it, because it almost appears as if you're working that much harder because you're doing it by yourself and not with a team. So, and to me, I feel like sellers, especially in this day and age where so much stuff is automated, so much stuff is whatever, people enjoy seeing people actually doing something instead of having it automated. So, you know what? If it takes a little bit more effort to do stuff, it's worth it to me, because I think it's that much more beneficial. Number one, beneficial in the effect, the results, and at the same time, people appreciate you putting in that level of effort as well.
100%.
Yep. Well, basically, here's where we go from here. So, number one, we'd love if folks would subscribe, right?
Yep.
Like this video if this is a video that you appreciate. And at the same time, we have a playbook for open houses that you can download. If you're an agent, you can download it. If you're a potential seller, if you're just curious as to what we do, we are going to put a link in this post for this video on how you can get your hands on that. All you're going to have to do, click on the link, put in your name and email, and then we will send over that playbook for you. So,
absolutely.
Cool. All right, guys. Until we see you again, happily, confidently roar your way home. I hope that this content helps you feel good about the real estate process as a whole. One of the main purposes for us doing this is to take away that fog of war that seems to be hangs over real estate. And we want to bring more transparency and clarity to what we've got. And again, that's why one of our slogans is roar your way home, because we want you to do it with confidence. And we are here to guide you on that path. So until the next episode, enjoy, and we'll talk to you soon.